What's up, everyone? This is the Sullivan Project Podcast. I'm here with Chris. What's up, Chris?
What's up?
Not much, man. Hey, another day in paradise. Eh,
Yeah,
I used to laugh when people said that, but you know what? It is true. It's all in how you look at it, right? Literally. Uh, yeah, we were just talking about the Steelers, yeah, for Pittsburgh Steelers fans. I mean, they did pretty good, but it is. I'm still thinking 50-50 team, maybe like same as last year. One game below 500, close to it, if but I don't have any delusions of grandeur of any playoff or Super Bowl right now. You know what I mean? Oh, hey Google, what time is it?
It's 6:05 p.m.
Okay. Oh, for all y'all haven't tuned in before, I'm blind. I lost my sight a couple years ago, and I was born with autoimmune disease. Uh, Chris is on here with me right now. We've been friends since we were freaking like elementary school, right? So long
yeah,
time,
about that.
30 something, 35 years or more. So uh, that's hard to. A lot of people look back, and even though we lost touch and came back in touch again, it's hard to think back to see how you have someone in your life that long, except for relatives. You know what I mean? But I'm grateful for it. And we got this podcast, and we're just trying to help people. What do we say? Everyone has a story, right?
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, you can't judge a book by its cover because we all got something. Uh, we all live, yeah, and you can't tell by just looking at us. So next time you see someone, stop them and ask them how they're doing. You know what I mean? Maybe they're having a bad day, but you might cheer them up just by saying, "Hey, how's your day?" Right? That's the importance of that kind of stuff. So I haven't really checked out any movies lately. Nothing really good for free on paper on demand or anything. Uh,
Well, they made another Saw. Saw 10's coming out.
oh my gosh! Well, what's this one? The last one was Spiral, right? The Book of Saul from the book. What's this called? Just Saul 10?
Saw 10. Yeah,
I didn't know there was that many.
yeah, yeah.
There was like
Believe it or not.
they skipped a few because there was six of them, and then there was a Book of the Spiral. That's seven. So they didn't skip a few. Uh, it's like that one. You ever hear that one? This is an oddball movie. Thanksgiving. You ever hear that?
No, I never heard of that.
It's about a killer turkey, right? And it's like a
Killer turkey.
yeah, it's like a puppet, like a.
Oh my god.
It's so
I'd have to
cheesy.
see that to believe it.
Yeah, you got it if you can find it anywhere. If you ever go to them places that have like them DVD, them like low budget DVDs.
6:08
Oh God, the
p.m.
phone scared the heck out of me. Ah,
Collapsed.
Lord
Facebook.
Jesus.
Facebook.
I got the other
Bullet.
phone next to me.
2 hours
So
ago.
now it's
Alerted.
reading.
Busted.
And I haven't even talked. I haven't even talked to it, right?
Evan
Or I'm not even
Bosco.
touching it, and it's talking. But get this,
Swipe up to unlock.
it calls me busted silhouette
Double
sometimes.
tap to activate.
I don't know what that
Double
means.
tap and hold to
Oh Lord
long
Jesus.
press.
Okay.
Actions available.
Technology.
Use swipe up then right to view.
Shh. But anyway, it calls me busted silhouette. I don't know what that means. Yeah, busted silhouette means you got an ugly
Nice
face.
name.
Yeah, so I don't know. Sometimes it says Harold Sullivan. I don't know. This stupid phone. Uh, oh, but the DVD, Thanksgiving. Yeah. Anyway, it's like a killer puppet. It's a low budget. People made, and it's supposed to be a real turkey though, going around killing people. And then they did part one, and then they did Thanksgiving 3, and then the third one was called Part 3, the only one to skip a sequel, or the only movie to ever skip its sequel. So there's actually no sequel. There's no Part 2. It's just 1 and 3. It's weird. So that's why I was like, Saul, they skipped a few. But yeah, Thanksgiving and then Thanksgiving 3. Or Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving 3. And it's about a killer turkey. And did you ever hear that one called Flubber, but with the killer tire?
No.
See, that's another one. That one's only about an hour long, though. That one's been on. They won some awards for that.
Killer turkeys.
Yeah, this is the Flubber, or not Flubber, Rubber. I think it's called Rubber. It's a killer tire, somehow, and that tire runs over people. I don't know, but it smashes. It's like a tire that comes to life, and it's called Rubber, or something like that. It's about 10 years old. That movie there. but the movies that people come up with now. There's one now that sounds good on the commercial called or it's called Creator. If you heard, it's a little girl like artificial intelligence, and so it sounds interesting. Like killer little girl robots or little boy robots, like that one. What was that one called? AI with the kid from The Sixth Sense. That was actually a good movie.
That was a good movie. Yeah.
He was a little robot. Yeah, and there's been a bunch of movies like Daryl. Back in the day, remember that? Was it called Daryl? Dar. Yeah, there was one called Daryl or David. Maybe it was David. It was David. It was called. It was another robot little boy, like back in the 80s. Yeah, that they did. And then remember that TV show Small Wonder with that little girl who was a robot? They kept her in the closet. She was supposed to be their daughter. It was a TV show called Small Wonder, and they put her in the closet to plug her in the charger. She didn't have her own bed or anything, and it's like weird that you come over your house, the house, and the little girl don't have any furniture. They just stick her in the closet and plug her in at night. But that was in the 80s. But if you want to be on the show, or if you want to leave any messages, or we do video and audio, you can hit us up on the Sullivan Project Podcast on Facebook and YouTube, or on Facebook Harold Sullivan period 35, YouTube and TikTok Harold Sullivan 78 on both of those, and you can call the show, leave a message, or you might get me. I might answer 724-513-1472. We're going to talk about some of your favorite movies. I know you mentioned before we had a couple in common. Of course, Halloween, Jaws, right? The third one, right? Jaws.
Yeah, Night of the Crepes.
Night of the Crepes, which I might have seen that once when I had to say. So I'm familiar, but not too familiar. What other ones do we have here? Jaws. What other some of your favorite movies of all time? Besides those three there, Halloween, Night of the Creeps, and Jaws.
Halloween, Anaconda.
Anaconda, okay, that's right. That's a newer one. I still like them though. The effects aren't too good though. Or they're cheesy computer snakes, But they're good, Monster movie. Anything else? What about any older movies from the 70s, 80s? Anything like that? I don't know if he was in that in Poltergeist, Scanners, House. Remember House?
Yeah, I remember House. Yeah, I have House.
That's another one. Whatever happened to House 3? What was House 3? There was no House 3.
There was no House 3. There was House 2, the second story, and that was it.
And House 4. There was actually a House 4. Yeah, I don't know if you know that. They brought back the guy who played the greatest American hero. What was his name? Roger Pratt or something? The blonde-haired guy with the curly hair? Yeah, they brought him back from the first one. He came back in the fourth one. And he had a daughter in a wheelchair. She was paralyzed. It was creepy. But yeah, if you can find that out, House 4. It's not as good as the first one, though.
Oh, no.
With that painting, and that damn, remember he cuts up his wife and pieces, and her hand is stuck to the little boy. The little boy's running around with this zombie monster hand on his back. Oh, it was creepy. It's a haunted house, perfect haunted. And then George Wendt, right, the guy from Cheers, is his buddy, right? He comes over and he's like, "There's a monster in my closet." They're sitting there with a harpoon gun at midnight, waiting for this closet to open. The monster comes out, and the dude's sitting there with a beer, right? They're like camping out, and nothing happens. But then it opens up and he shoots the thing, and then it takes him into the jungle. Oh, that's Jesse Ventura, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He plays that army guy that got killed. It was his buddy in the war, and he haunts him from the house. It's a sad story, though, because the little boy disappeared years earlier, right? In that same, I guess, in the backyard. And so that kind of led to this whole thing. The writer, for people who don't know, the writer goes to the house. His grandma dies and leaves him a house that's haunted. And his son had disappeared years before. And so he has writer's block. He needs something to write about. And it's crazy, though, all that stuff. So what other ones here? Scan, Poltergeist. I'm trying to think of any older zombie movies. Well, you liked all the zombie movies like I did, pretty much, right?
Yeah, Night of the Living Dead. Yeah.
The original, the black and white.
black and white.
Right. Tony Todd was in the remake, right?
Yeah, Tony Todd played
Yeah.
Ben in the remake.
It was good though. I liked that one. Just like I didn't mind the Psycho remake with Vince Vaughn. That was pretty good. Uh, as far as close to the original, but of course you're not going to compare it to the original. Uh, uh, what about comedies? What are some of your favorite comedies?
Airplane.
Oh yeah, is that where? Is that what? Don't Call Me Shirley.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's Leslie Nielsen. Is that Leslie Nielsen?
yeah,
And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Great Outdoors, John Candy and Steve Aykroyd.
Oh, it's a classic. He says, "Don't call me Shirley."
Dan Aykroyd, or whatever his name is.
Yeah, from Ghostbusters.
Yeah, Dan
Oh,
Aykroyd.
yeah. John Candy was actually uh, going to be a Ghostbuster. So was Eddie Murphy. There was a few other ones that they tossed around before they got the original cast. That's an interesting fact. Can you imagine him in Ghostbusters, John Candy? Remember Spaceballs? I've been thinking about Spaceballs. Remember
Yeah, Spaceballs was okay.
they never did a sequel to it, even though they talked about in the movie the sequel to it. Remember? They actually mentioned the sequel in the movie, and they can still do that. I mean, I don't know if Mel Brooks is still alive anymore. God bless him if he's not, but there's always time for Spaceballs, you know. Just spoof Star Wars, and there you go. May the Schwartz be with you. I was telling someone that the other day because they don't know their last name is Schwartz, right? And they've been getting that their whole life, and I'm like, you don't have an idea what that means because of yogurt. You know, the dude's name was Yogurt instead of Yoda. Mel Brooks' character in Spaceballs was Yogurt. He says, "May the Schwartz be with you," and he pulls out the little puppet or the little doll, the talking yogurt doll, and he's got all that in a ring or some kind of ring. It's funny. Again, it's that old comedy. See, Greg, he never watched Friday the 13th, the original one, and he actually went back and watched it since our review, and he didn't get it. He's like, after 30 minutes, he was bored. I was like, well, it's just a certain thing, you know what I mean? Some people aren't going to get what that movie is, the original Friday the 13th. He just wasn't into it. He didn't understand what I was explaining about how the effects and the kills and all that was just different at that time. And I don't. It's hard to explain. I guess the slasher film, it's hard to explain to people what gets you into it, like what you like about it. You just know you like it. You know what I mean? It's hard to say. Well, I like to set up the kills and because that's really about it, right? Is the way they were killing people, and you don't want to sound sick. Oh, I like the movie because they're killing people. It's not really that. It's just the way that they pull it off, and it makes it almost believable, but not really believable. So it's a way to get away, just like going to a superhero movie, right? You know
Something like that.
you can't fly, and you're not trying to fly, but you can go and you can fly in the movie, you know, just by like you could get away a little bit, you know what I mean, and you can pretend. Uh, Even though that sounds sick too, like you don't go to a horror movie to pretend to kill people either. So that's a bad analogy, but you know what I mean. It's like a vacation. It's just a different genre. It don't mean you want to see that or be involved. It's like an art. Yeah, that's the way I want to say art. It's an artistic thing. How do you do this? How do you figure out how to do that? It's just like with camera tricks. Yeah. How do you turn this a certain way, or how do you make someone think they see or believe something? It's not really going on. It's just a little uh, imaginary world that you're going into for a little while. And there has to be all different kinds. Horror is one of them. You know. So Night of the Creeps. So
Yeah, that's a real good one.
let's get into that one. So what year was that? Do you remember?
86, I think.
Okay, so that's the late '80s, almost a Die Hard year. The late '80s. Die Hard was what, 89, 90? Yeah, 90. Uh, and then so this is now how did they for spoilers for people? So what is it a meteorite or something that crashes? So what's the plot? The basic like how did they get here? These creeps things.
From outer space.
Okay, so it's a meteorite or lands, and then these little worms come out of it, or
Yeah.
like sludge.
Slug like extraterrestrials, yeah.
Yeah, like in Slither, right? Like an older version of Slither
Yeah,
for people
Slither was good too. That was funny.
for people that haven't seen that. Yeah, and it's these little dark colored slugs. Is it? And when they chop their head off, right, and then all the bugs just come pouring out of their neck and stuff, right? Is that how it works? Because I think
Yeah.
I remember vividly. Yeah. And then yeah, when you cut up the when they kill the person, the bugs just come out and go try to find another person to get into right away because they don't need the body anymore. Because that's what I remember about it. It was so gross, all them bugs, them slithery things, whatever they were. And wasn't it heat? Is that had something to do with that? How you get rid of them, or was it flames? Like what was their weakness?
Yeah.
Flames was a weakness. Was it cold too? Uh,
Flames was a way to kill them.
Flames. You got to light burn the people up. Okay, and who was starring in that one? There had to be some stars, right?
Night of the Creeps.
Yeah, who was the like the
Tom
main?
Atkins was in it. He
Okay.
played the detective.
Okay, from Halloween, right? Wait, was that Halloween? No, that's Tom Skerritt. No, it's Tom Atkins, right? Yeah,
Tom
Tom
Atkins was in Halloween 3.
Yeah, well,
Season of the Witch.
the guy that screams no at the end, right?
That was Michael wasn't in that one.
Yeah,
No.
it's the guy that screams no at the end, right? Whenever they're doing that music, do 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 do, happy happy Halloween, and then he screams at the end. Yeah, okay, I know that guy with the mustache. So he's a horror guy too. He's been in horror movies. Tom Atkins. So he's like what is he, a father or was sheriff? Like what is he in the movie? Like what's his role, Tom Atkins? Is he like a dad or a sheriff or like?
He was a detective, Cameron.
So he's always some kind of freaking.
Yeah.
He was a.
He's from Pittsburgh.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So wonder well, neither one of us have met him. He wasn't at any of the conventions I went to. Okay, and then so he just stumbles across these freaking things killing, and he figures out to help get rid of them. Was there anybody else that's in there real good? Actress or actor?
Jason Lively was in it.
Jason Lively?
Yeah.
Okay. What about actresses?
Steve Marshall was in it.
Steve Lively.
Jill Whitlow played Cindy.
Okay. So it was a lower, but I mean, Tom Atkins was the highest guy in it probably, or the highest name, right? The best name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Pretty much.
that was kind of a lower budget one. Okay, so we got Night of the Creeps, and we know about Jaws. That you like the underwater one? That was my favorite one, right?
Yeah.
SeaWorld, because that was just so man. There's nothing you can do if you're underwater and that big thing comes up and you're in that glass, you're done. And they're lucky they got that. Oh, they got them airtight things to kick in and all that. There's no way that's gonna work. That dang on shark is gonna. You're done. He's ramming that thing and just swallowing you and going along. And all them people in there, that's like a bag of chips waiting. You know, he's like opening a can of. He couldn't wait. He wanted to get in there and get that can of tuna. Like all them people were waiting in there for him to just swallow up, or her, or whatever it was. I don't know. Do they even have genders? Sharks? Are they male and female? I guess they have to be male and female, right? I never thought of
I
that.
guess. I don't really know.
I don't know if they lay eggs or if they actually have, because whales and stuff like that have genitalia, and they. Jesus. That's another. Oh, God. Can't remember. A humpback whale? Imagine the size of that motherfucker. Ah! But, so we got Night of the Creeps. What other, any other ones that are your favorite of all time? What about, like, any. You said what comedies?
Great Outdoors. That's a good movie.
Oh, yeah, that's one of my favorites. That's another John Candy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, him and Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Whenever they didn't know what they were doing. But I like them kind of. That's what I was just thinking. They don't do movies like that stuff anymore, Harry and the Hendersons, remember that with the Bigfoot? John
Yeah,
Lithgow?
I remember that one. Yeah.
I mean, just fun family movie, Doesn't even really have to have. I mean, that has a plot because there's a Bigfoot. But The Great Outdoors is just a family and a couple of dads going camping and competing against stuff. Kind of, because they want to show one's better than the other, right? That's what it is. One dad thinks he's better than the other at camping and doing, survival. And so, who's the other? John Candy and who else? Is it Dan Aykroyd, the two dads? Like the two families?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I thought there was some other people in there too. Not Rick Moranis or maybe another actor. Chevy Chase, maybe? Is there somebody else in there? I know there's another.
Chevy Chase wasn't in the Great Outdoors. No.
There's one or two other known actors somewhere in there. I remember. I just can't remember who they were. Because there was a good cast in that. It wasn't just those two. There was a couple other. Oh, hey Google, what time is it?
It's 6:25 p.m.
Oh, okay. Okay. So what other? Oh, my niece is in the other room. Uh, Other great outdoors. So that's comedies. What other? What else are your favorite movies? Nothing recently, huh?
Nothing recently, no.
No, because they don't make anything good anymore. Same with me. My last favorite movie on my favorite movie list is probably like in the 90s, you know what I mean? Because I'm living in the past somewhat. Like remember I was telling you about my top movies, Halloween, the original Wizard of Oz, which that's from like 1940 or 39. Raging Bulls, 1980. That's a good one. That's a boxing movie. It's a black and white. And then of course you got They Live, which is one of my top
And They Live was funny.
honorable mentions, and that's from the 80s.
Roddy Piper, yeah.
Blues Brothers. That's another good one. Remember that one with Dan Aykroyd and is it John Belushi? John Belushi, right? Which
I think
one?
so.
James Belushi. Who died? I'll get the names. James Belushi died. James Belushi died. John Belushi's still alive, right?
I think so. I'm
'Cause
not sure.
They're brothers, yeah. They almost looked on that. They sounded looked a lot like that. Because they did the Blues Brothers 2000, and they had John Goodman in it. And then they had the other Belushi, his brother, play the character. So it was pretty good. What other? Let's see, some other ones that are not really well known. Any other your top movies? Sci-fi stuff? What do you got in sci-fi? You weren't really into Star Wars, Star Trek, any of that kind of
No, not really.
You remember The Fifth Element with Bruce Willis and Mila Jovovich? That was a good one. With the red hair, the girl from Resident Evil. The Fifth Element, and Chris Tucker was in that.
Yeah.
See what else? The Starfighter, Last Starfighter. That's another one. They never did a sequel to that either. The Last Starfighter. That's that one with the boy from Halloween 2, Jimmy. Remember he played Jimmy?
Yeah, Lance Guest. Yeah.
Yeah, Lance Guest. Hell, well, he was in Jaws 4, right?
Yeah, he was in Jaws 4, The Revenge.
He played Brody's son growing up. That's
Yeah.
Right. Did they ever bring Brody back? What happened to Brody? Did he die?
Well, he died. It didn't die in the movie. He died off screen.
Okay, and they just said he died in the movie and he was dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, which one was he in? The first? Was he just in the first one or the first two?
First two.
That's what I thought. And then they went to SeaWorld. Okay. That's right. So it was a different place. The first two was on that island, right? And the third one. Was the fourth one back at that island again? The shark came back?
Shark came back and then
To New Jersey? Yeah. Or wherever it was?
followed Mrs. Birdie to the Bahamas, yeah.
Oh, brother. Yeah, that's too much. Oh, and then I was doing research, and there's actually another one, but it's not really affiliated with Jaws. It's a fifth Jaws movie, but it's a different kind of shark. It's like a low-budget movie. I forget what it's called, though. It's called Jaws the something, but it's not really Jaws, but it is. So, somehow it's connected just because it's called Jaws. But I did find that out. So, comedies. I'm trying to think of any other comedies that we might have had a common. Time travel movies. What about that kind of stuff? Or ghost movies, paranormal stuff. Poltergeist, of course. That's one of the original ones.
You got Poltergeist, yeah. You got The Conjuring.
I never did see that one. The newer ones.
It's alright.
The very first Paranormal Activity. I sat through it only till the part where the lady was standing up over the guy's bed all night. You know how they played it back on the video. She just stood there, and I was like, man, that's enough for me, and I can't watch it over because that stuff is too real to me. Because I lived in haunted houses and stuff, and I've been around that kind of stuff, and I don't mess with that. You know what I mean? I don't want movies like Annabelle and The Conjuring and all these other. That's just too malevolent, devious. I don't believe in messing with the sinister, the evil stuff. There's one called The Nun, right? They just did a sequel to it now, The Nun 2.
Yeah, the Nun, they just come out with a sequel, yeah.
Annabelle, yeah. Annabelle wasn't even. See,
Annabelle's alright.
It was just a Raggedy Ann doll, the real story of that. It was like a regular doll that these two college girls had. One bought the other one as a gift when they moved into their apartment. And they made a whole movie out of that. But it's in that house right now, that warehouse. You know that guy, what's his name, was in them movies? The doctor. He's in them movies. What's his name? Him and his wife. Well, they're playing them. Which is Lynn Shay. Lynn Shay's in there. Lynn Shay, Bob Shay from New Line Cinema, his wife is an actress. She plays the what's that guy's name? That has the collection of the haunted stuff. He's in The Conjuring, though, I think, or he's in that movie. He plays in a couple of the movies, but
I forget his name.
I forget his name, Doctor something. But him and his wife are in the movies. It's not the real people; it's actors playing them. But they have a warehouse where they have haunted stuff they keep collecting in it. And they used to have a TV show called The Haunted Collector. But whenever people have haunted objects, that guy goes around and gets them, including Annabelle. He has Annabelle in his warehouse now, and I can't remember his name, but he's in that movie. And that Lynn Shay, you know who Lynn Shay is? She plays his wife, and I think she becomes possessed in one of them movies or something. I don't know, because they're kind of linked together, right? Some of them, like Annabelle. Which ones are linked together? Annabelle, The Conjuring, right? I don't know.
Annabelle, The Conjuring.
Isn't there another one of them? They're all linked together. 3 or 4.
I'm trying to think. I don't know.
The franchises, yeah, they're linked together somewhat. But I can't do none of them. That's too dark, and I don't want to invite that. You know what I mean? So only love and light, right? And that that brings us to the end. We're gonna wrap up the podcast here. But we talked about some of your favorite movies. And if y'all have favorite movies, and I'm breaking down lists of favorite movie trilogies, and then favorite movies, we get enough, we'll talk about, break them down into, like a bracket. You know what I mean? We'll do that if we get some feedback. The movie trilogies is a good one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Best trilogies, there has to be 3, only 3, except for certain ones like Star Wars. There's like 3 trilogies. So I let that slip, but certain ones they had to be 3. So that's another podcast. And then we've done best movies of all time, and now we're doing our favorite movies. So hit us up on the podcast, and we'll be back soon, right? Remember, be the light.
Yeah. We'll be back, people.
We'll be back.
Thanks for joining us.
Same bad time, same bad channel. Remember that from the old TV show?